What were you thinking about your future in that moment?
Nothing but the best, nothing but a bright future ahead.
Pictures show Nicholas Maurizio left for college, a bright-eyed young man ready to take on the world. But he didn't come home with that same shine.
That spark, Nicholas, it's not there anymore. That gleam in his eye.
His hopeful gleam is gone. One of many casualties of a traumatic brain injury he suffered at Florida State University.
That punch changed your life forever.
Forever.
A punch that knocked Nicholas out and knocked his family's world off its axis. It happened April 2018. Nicholas was attending his first meeting as a brother of Alpha Epsilon Pi when he was picked for a long-standing fraternity tradition he'd never heard of, a dubious honor court records label Scumbag of the Week. He was expecting the standard punishment, a literal slap in the face.
Cocked his fist back and hit me as hard as he could. I got knocked out completely on contact. I fell straight back. My head hit the pavement, cement floor.
It took 4 brothers to carry Nicholas's unconscious body into the car and 5 days for him to be discharged out of the intensive care unit of a Florida hospital, where he was treated for a fractured skull and a brain bleed that caused permanent damage.
It broke me, Joce, and just, can you pause just for a second?
Absolutely.
What I want to say.
What happened inside this fraternity house put Nicholas's life on pause for half a decade. His family sued the young man who hit him, 6 of his fraternity brothers, and the national fraternity, claiming leadership at AE Pi knew about hazing problems at the Florida State chapter that had gotten them officially booted from the university just 3 months before Nicholas's incident. But they still took no action to enforce their own policies and protect him.
They kind of like to go under the assumption that even though we're a national fraternity, we're not responsible for what our local chapters do. Like, that's their position that they're put in, and I think that kind of skates them away from responsibility most of the time.
It's a tactic our national investigative team discovered is standard operating procedure in an industry responsible for at least 67 hazing deaths and countless injuries in the last 23 years. We spent months interviewing experts and reviewing lawsuit filings, tax records, and industry documents, uncovering a complex system where national fraternities separate themselves from their local chapters to protect against legal and financial liability in worst-case scenarios, all while profiting off a risk they're well aware of.
The top of the fraternity industry has lots of very smart men that take the advice of lawyers with a great deal of experience on how to evade responsibility for the injury and death they cause.
Doug Fearberg has his own experience representing dozens of hazing victims, pulling back the curtain on a fraternity system that he says uses secretive schemes and tactics that allow national organizations to assert control over local chapters when it suits them, while also washing their hands of responsibility when it doesn't. How they've done it is outlined in a confidential memo he supplied to our team from a meeting of the Fraternity Executives Association more than 10 years ago.
Is it a smoking gun?
It's a gun they never wanted to be seen.
The memo outlines a strategy called conscious separation, where national fraternities are encouraged to limit their awareness and oversight of what happens at their local houses, because more involvement equals more potential liability, with executives told prior knowledge of improper acts is fatal.
Conscious separation is a charade created by the lawyers for the national fraternities.
But is it just the appearance of separation?
It's the appearance of separation when separation is necessary to prevent individuals who've been hurt or killed from recovering against the entity that should be paying.
The question of who pays when a fraternity member is harmed by hazing or alcohol is its own complicated issue, and it ties back to a cult classic from decades ago. In the late 70s and early 80s, the movie Animal House put frat culture front and center, glamorizing binge drinking and hazing among brothers. Insurance companies, insiders say, wanted out of the family fast, essentially abandoning the industry as alcohol and hazing-related deaths skyrocketed.
We needed to do something.
David Eastlick was a brother at Delta Kappa Epsilon, or DEEC, in the 1960s. He now testifies against fraternities as an expert witness in hazing cases. For decades, he was the executive director of DEEC's national organization and part of the movement to solve the industry's crisis by banding frats together to create their own insurance system, eventually controlling and providing the liability coverage for local chapters and rolling in the profits.
It gave leverage to the fraternities that they, for the first time, they could really collect money from the undergraduates and count on their loyalty and get their money.
It's big money. Tax records from 63 fraternities we examined show many of their insurance premiums are close to or exceed $1 million a year, with the cost covered by the college students from each local chapter, who have no choice but to pay if they want to be a member. One fraternity tax records show has almost $20 million in assets derived in part from insurance premiums. Another, more than $7 million.
So now you have a circumstance where the national fraternities actually profit on the insurance companies that they own related to the risk that they create and refused to change.
And when something goes wrong and someone gets hurt, that policy generally gives full coverage to the national organization, but leaves the college students who paid virtually unprotected.
It's meaningless insurance. They are absolutely paying for nothing.
Those insurance policies, we discovered, are based on risk management guidelines that would void liability coverage if violated. Our team examined some policies publicly available online and found provisions prohibiting what experts would say is fairly common fraternity behavior, including drinking games, supplying alcohol to minors, the purchase of kegs, the use of alcohol on traditionally deadly ritual nights like bid night, and hazing.
It's essentially a big joke.
A joke orchestrated by the national fraternities that create and implement those policies, but then also claim the rules can't be enforced at a high level.
They've been able to convince courts in various jurisdictions that they're somehow unable to control the day-to-day operations of the fraternity, which is just absolute total bull.
The lobbying group that represents fraternities nationally wouldn't do an interview, but says its members are committed to health and safety as evidenced by those risk management policies, and that their members encourage accountability. That's why they say they don't provide coverage for actions that intentionally endanger others, break the law, or violate fraternity policies. Half a dozen other organizations and individuals that represent fraternity executives, advisors, attorneys, or their insurance companies wouldn't comment, despite repeated requests since early June.
With the way the fraternities have insulated themselves and played this charade, their mothership has never truly gotten hit financially.
Instead, it's the fraternity members who pay. And without coverage from the national fraternity insurance they paid for, settlements, we've learned, end up coming from a surprising source, the homeowner's insurance of their parents.
And I don't think that anyone knows until it happened.
The Maurizio family's attorney confirmed they ultimately resolved civil litigation with 8 individuals linked to the fraternity, with several suits settled through their parents' homeowners insurance. The Mauricio's case against Alpha Epsilon Pi was also resolved, although the fraternity wouldn't comment further about the case, saying they continue to invest in their health and safety program, working hard every day to educate and train their members and reform risky behaviors. Still, Nicholas and his family believe the national fraternity avoided the kind of major blow he couldn't.
I've made a good recovery, Joce, but I'm still making strides and progress every single day.
It's still a battle.
Yes, and it will be a battle for the rest of my life.